Hey guys, Bonnie here. Today we are going to talk about solitude. Now, two things come to my mind when I think of solitude. On one hand, I think it sounds super peaceful. I think of Psalm 23, the Lord leads us beside still waters and green pastures. But on the other hand, I think of just pain, crippling loneliness, and isolation. And I think the answer for what solitude is yes. And a good illustration for what solitude looks like in our lives is imagine a pond or a lake and a super, calm surface, and one of those ponds where you can look down and you can see the bottom, all the way to the bottom, and see all the little rocks and pebbles and stuff, and it's pretty cool. And I think a lot of us, we start out, hopefully, our lives like that. There's not a whole lot going on when we're infants. And slowly, as we grow and mature, and surely once you've started college, we start to slowly add a lot of noise and distractions in our lives. And they're not all bad, but I know during your time at Yale, you slowly add, extracurriculars and club meetings, and then there's your academics and study groups, and then all the relational components that come with being in college. And before we know it, the waters of our lives and our souls, they get kind of, rocky, they get a little muddied from the bottom, and it's harder to see clearly. It's harder to have a clear picture of what's happening inside of us. Now, what solitude is this strategic time of disengagement where we try to limit the distractions in our life so that we can really connect with God and ask these big questions. I think maybe for some of you guys, these waters are starting to, calm and still a little bit with everything that's happening. And that can leave some really hard questions for us to answer. Who am I if not for my achievements? Who am I if not the things that I do? Who am I if nobody really needs me? And these are the big questions of life that we need space to wrestle with God. And we do that in solitude. Now, what does this look like? Well, I know when I first started practicing solitude, it really looked like me, sitting there quietly, just trying to, Lord, I'm here if you want to say anything. And that would last a few seconds and I'd get really distracted by whatever else is happening. And then I'd remember my to-do list and I'm like, oh, I need to text this person this, and slowly began to spiral. And our exercises for this week are designed to help us to slowly declutter our lives, to slowly disengage from our phones, media, and allow ourselves to really start to de-distract, is that a word, our minds. Now, what I can tell you is that if you do each of the practices this week, every single day, and you're faithful to do those things, I can guarantee you that probably nothing at all will change, Very encouraging, I know. But I think that's because solitude is cultivated over a long time. So you might not see any changes this week, and it might even be a little discouraging. But if you're faithful to do this for a long period of time, I think that we'll start to see the Lord really work in our soul. And the chief end of solitude, I think, is that we come to a point where we realize that because of what Jesus has done for us, that we're never alone when we're alone. And that through this process, Jesus can supernaturally transform us into people of peace, into people of hope, and into people of greater love. So I want to encourage you this week that this discipline can be challenging for some of us because it's not something that we achieve. It's not even something I think that we can be good or bad at. It's just something that we show up to, and it's something that we allow God to work in our own lives and souls. So I wish you guys the best of luck this week. Can't wait to hear how it goes, and I will see you guys later this week. Bye.